ladies and gentlemen, now hosting the RizzoCast, put your hands together for Steven Risotto!
What's going on, everybody? And welcome. My name is Steven Risotto. I cover the San Francisco Giants for SF Bay, and I'm the host of RizzoCast, a podcast that features current and former big league players, coaches, fans, media, and others who are regarded as some of the brightest minds around the game of baseball. We're going to be doing something a little bit different today. Today's guest is Ike Shehadeh, the founder of the outstanding Ikes Love and Sandwiches, a Bay Area-rooted sandwich hub that has expanded into 7 states across the country. Just a very quick note here. I have formed a little bit of an addiction to Ike sandwiches. Just throwing it out there. There's one right next to San Francisco State University in Stonestown Mall, and I was a very frequent customer. So to say I'm excited for you to hear this interview and this episode is a massive understatement. We discussed the early origins of Ikes, the story behind him putting his face on the brand, shutting out the haters, lending sports and food, his favorite celebrity friends, the famous Ohtani offer, fighting through food insecurity, venturing into donuts, so much more. This is episode number 169. I am excited for you to hear this. Let's get started. Alrighty, and we are back on RizzoCast, and we are very pleased to be joined by Ike Shehadeh, who is, everybody's seen Ikes if you're in California, and Ike is nice enough to take some time and hop on the podcast. Ike, how's it going? Welcome.
Hey, thanks so much. Things are great. I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Absolutely. This is going to be a lot of fun, and I have so much to ask you, but before I get into anything related about Ikes and related about sandwiches and all the stuff like that, I do want to ask about, because I know your guy's Joey Chestnut, and I want to get your thoughts on this. Your guy Joey Chestnut was banned from this year's Nathan's hot dog eating contest that usually goes on the 4th of July. Have you seen what is going on in that situation? And I guess if so, what do you make about it? Because it's kind of a bizarre situation.
So, I have and also had insider information. So, Joey and I, we were kicking it at the Super Bowl in Vegas, and we were, he's picking my brain about a few things, and I know that there's a few more things coming that are yet to be coming out. I think this is one of those scenarios where Major League Eating tried to break up with Joey Chestnut, just to save face, kind of thing. Because, for me, my conversation with Joey is this: he's one of the greatest American icons of all time, and he should be compensated and known as such. And Major League Eating doesn't do that. In fact, Major League Eating thinks it's the thing where, I guess if you can relate it to sports, right? Look at the NBA when they had, say pre-Jordan, they had Jordan. Even though they had stars before, they needed that star. Same with baseball when they had McGuire and Sosa. They were down from the strike, and then all of a sudden they needed these stars to save them. Even though Major League Baseball, Major League NFL, NBA, whatever, Major League Eating is bigger than the athlete, you still need that star. Otherwise, nobody's going to watch. And if anything, they should have bent over backwards to keep Joey, and I know that they weren't going to.
And it's almost like, half the people that watch maybe are watching for Joey. So it's kind of like, well, that hopefully is, I don't want to say hopefully going to stab him in the back, but it probably will to some extent. And do you have any hot takes about competitive eating? Is it would you consider it a sport? Where do you stand there? Because I know definitely it's something that could get people riled up a little bit.
Well, think about it. Have you ever eaten so much food and then you just want to fall asleep afterwards? So you can't even live your regular life. So I don't want to say I'm on team. It is a sport because you'll eat a lunch and then you'll pass out. So, but this guy is going out there. These guys are going out there, and the ladies and everything, they're just chowing down, and then they got to get in shape. I've been taken out by a meal before where it's like, oh my God, I hurt so much. I just did a tasting on Monday, actually, and I tried 38 new items, and I swore I would never eat again. Obviously, I was like, I'll eat again, but I was like, oh my god, I can't even eat. I'm like in the chair, passed out. Joey would have been like, it's all good. Where's dessert? So yes, they're athletes. I think it's not even a doubt. Like anybody that says that they're not, yeah, okay, go out and eat any meal of your choice and stuff yourself, and then go try to do something afterwards. Just live your life. And 99% of people are just going to be taken out just by a meal. So
Yeah, I think if you have to train for something like that, you're certainly in that category of being an athlete, and hopefully Joe could get back. Would you ever like consider like an Ike's like sponsored competitive food eating? Would that ever be something that like I mean, it doesn't even have to be this big national thing, but like the local people like calling all competitive eaters, let's get you like to chow down on some Ike sandwiches.
so I used to do right before every grand opening of a new store, we would be like calling all champions and come out and eat the kryptonite sandwich, and whoever can eat it the fastest, you got your logo over there. Whoever can eat this kryptonite sandwich the fastest would win free sandwiches for a year, free sandwiches for a year. And we had people like traveling for this tournament. We stopped doing it a little bit before COVID, and then COVID happened and couldn't really do that. But I'd love to bring that back, like have a legit maybe once a year thing. And hey, if Joey's not going to be in, Joey would do it in like 3 minutes, so it wouldn't even be fair if he did it. But like, say if we had other people do it, and for a prize, some sandwiches, things like that, I'd love to bring that back. And if Joey wants to MC it, or if he wants to destroy it like for 5 years in a row and then MC it or whatever, I mean, Joey's my guy, so he can do whatever he wants at Ike's. But I'd love to do that again.
Yeah, that was really cool. And would you consider a hot dog a sandwich at all?
So Joey and I, he's the king of hot dogs. I'm the whatever of sandwiches. And we both say it's not a sandwich. It's not a sandwich. Now there are ways you can turn a hot dog into a sandwich, like slice it up and put it out, like and dress it up, non-hot dog
The heart
condiments.
attack
Sure,
sandwich.
but if you get a freaking hot dog, it's not a sandwich.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the heart attack sandwich, which you
and we're
have.
both.
Yeah.
I think anybody that says a hot dog is, or like, oh, burrito is the same, like all these things, like I see all these memes online. Like, no, it's not. If you ordered a sandwich at Ike's and I gave you a hot dog, you would be pissed off. That's how you know it's not a sandwich.
Yeah, once you consider it a sandwich, I think you're opening kind of a can of worms. Alrighty, yeah. So that aside, the Joey Chestnut aside, I'm glad that we're all for like the justice for Joey train. Good to see that. So the last few months, like I know me personally, I've been very fixated by your sandwiches, and I mentioned to you off air that as an SF State student, I would take the very short walk across to Stonestown, and it became a running joke in the newsroom. Steven's got Ikes again, or Steven, where's your Ikes? And there's so much to get into, but I want to start with this part of the name of Ikes. So it's Ike's Love and Sandwiches. And everybody just says Ikes, but that is the full name, Ike's Love and Sandwiches.
Yeah.
Where did the love part come from? And why is it something that you wanted to highlight with the name of this company?
Well, so a long, long time ago, when I first opened, it was Ike's was known as Ike's Place, and it was Ike's and the sandwich and place. We had the first location in on 16th and Sanchez in the city, and then second location in Stanford, third location with Oracle, fourth in Oakland, and the fifth one was actually in the dungeon in the Cesar Chavez Center at SFSU, and it was called Ike's Place then. Now I went through a whole lot of trouble with the city. The mayor at the time was Gavin Newsom. Now he's the governor, and so that's how long ago it was. And there's so much. I don't know. I was like the bad boy of restaurants or something. It was like get Ike, and they had people wearing the free Ike stuff and free Ike T-shirt, and then there's the people on the government side like, well, maybe you should do all these things. So but the thing is, it wouldn't have mattered if Ikes wasn't successful. It wouldn't have mattered if I wasn't able to get a line out the door, if fans weren't there, like clamoring and waiting in line. 3 hours we had wait times. The last day we were open at the first location, it was an 8-hour wait. We closed at midnight. Like we closed the line at midnight, and still the last sandwich didn't go out until 4:07 a.m. And the thing is, we were able to do that and become different, and that was in all these newspaper articles, and like Fox News did a thing, Wall Street Journal did a thing, LA Times, New York Times, all these things, and they asked Ike, how is it you're just a sandwich shop? How are you doing this? And I was like, oh, that's a good question. Like, what are we doing? It's not like you can't eat a sandwich. There's 3,000 different sandwich places in the city, according to Yelp, the day that I opened. And I thought, I was like, well, we just care more about sandwiches. We care more about the product we're giving you than other places. And this isn't to say that other restaurants don't care, or the sandwich shops don't care, or your mom and pop favorite cafe or anything doesn't care. I just know that we cared more. I know I cared more. I gave a guy a say hey sandwich, and he ordered a Barry Bonds. He ordered a 25, and I gave him a 24. And I still think about that today. He probably doesn't even care that I messed up. And but the desire to be the best at it was from the beginning. The desire that I cared about what you wanted and making you happy was from the beginning, from me asking people if I could buy them lunch. So it came down to the same old questions I'd get asked. And to the media, I was like, I mean, we just love it more. We just care about it more. We just want it more. And so when we got sued and the first Ikes had to close, it closed in August of 2010. I was like, all right, a new thing, like a hydra. Like I didn't want to say like a phoenix from the ashes. It's like the city cut off my head, and I'm like, I'm opening 3 locations. I'm opening 5. And since that day in 2010, I opened over 100 restaurants. They cut off my head. I had 0 stores, and then it was about new beginnings, new life, and new, I don't even want to say new purpose, but stating the purpose. Because in 2010, so the new name came out around then, and people were not using mission statements. People were not using love. And like if in 2024, everybody's got a mission statement. Everybody's got, hey, we care about this. I did it back when people were like, oh, I don't know about this place. They got love in the title. But it was because we and me love the game of feeding people, of the game of sandwiches, the game of food more than everyone else. And so that's why it's Ike's Love and Sandwiches instead of Sandwiches and Love. And that's where the name came from. New beginning, and also like a big F you to everybody. Oh, you know what? It was not my version of turning the cheek. It was like I was very upset on the inside, so I wanted to like the exact opposite on the outside. It's like no, we're just gonna keep on loving you, and then flipping people off and pissing people off, and here we are.
Yeah, here we are. We'll love that, no pun intended. And another aspect of Ike's is like, it's pretty quick to notice the logo, and it's literally your face. And I'm sure this is something that companies and brands from across the world, like everybody's probably always struggling to find an identity, to gain visibility to the public. And for you, it's kind of become like a well-known thing. Like, when we see the face, we know it's Ike's, and it's, I guess what's inside the decision, or what was inside the decision to kind of plaster your likeness onto this company, because it's kind of it makes it a lot more recognizable, it seems.
Yeah, it's a great story from when we first switched to the face. So people that knew me back in 2006, 2007, before I opened Ikes, knew that I didn't want to name the place Ikes. In fact, I did a poll back on the internet, like the MySpace days. Hey, and I had a lot of followers back then. Whatever. I was a troll on the internet back then, so I had a lot of followers. And I was like, hey, I'm opening up a cafe. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that, and I want to name it something. I don't want to name it after myself. Give me names. And then there was, I don't know, like 50 something entries, and like 49 of them had Ike something in it, Ike in this, Ike that, whatever. And then I was like, no, okay, guys, thank you. I appreciate it. No Ikes. Don't call it Ike. I don't want to call it Ike. I want to call it something cool. And then so I did a second poll, and it was like almost every single post or comment for name suggestion was Ike this or Ike that. Like maybe 2 people didn't say Ike. So I was like, all right, fine. So I thought I'm going to come up with a crazy name. And I did. So I came the original name that I have the original business cards. I found some the other day, and it was called Ikes, good looking sandwiches, great tasting people. And then so I show that go to give that to the person that's going to design the Ike sign, and they were like, no, absolutely, like that doesn't even work. How are we going to put that on a building? Like people aren't even going to know what you're talking about. So he designed a logo for Ikes, and it was not my face. It just said Ikes and the sandwich in place. And so the thing is over the years, as 3 years, as Ike started getting a line out the door, and then the social media thing actually really took off, and how earlier I was talking about the star like Michael Jordan or Joey Chestnut for Major League Eating, whoever it is for a sport, this internet, as you know, people like to talk on the internet and give their opinions, even if nobody cares about their opinions, but they still want to give them. And they like to talk about reviews and restaurants, and same with Yelp. So they needed a face for that. I was in the right place at the right time, and my face was literally on the front page of Yelp, worldwide for years. And so my face was already there. The reason why I added my face to the logo when we did the whole name change, so it didn't come on until the Ike's 11 Sandwiches name came on, is every day somebody would walk up and go, "Hey, which guy's Ike? Is it you? Which guy's Ike?" And I saw that, well, I'm going to just put my cartoon in, and then people will stop asking. I'm the only bald dude here. And then, although I ended up not being the only bald dude there. And then people just start, now they go, "Hey, are you Ike?" instead of asking who's Ike. So I kind of did it because I wanted people to stop asking. When we have a line out the door, I don't want to be like, "That guy's Ike." Everybody's like, "That guy's Ike." You just hear people, and they would then point. And I was very appreciative of it. The ancillary benefit to that is we changed it to my face and the Ike's 11 Sandwiches logo, and we immediately, without doing anything different, saw a 25% across every single location that changed the logo in sales. I think people just like people. They like seeing that. It's why Colonel Sanders is a thing. It's why Jack in the Box uses the fake Jack for their thing, Dave Thomas and Wendy's. And so, I mean, I didn't do it because of that. I just found out that, oh, hey, look, it actually helps the branding, and it helps also. I just did it because I didn't want people to ask who was Ike anymore. Is we're busy enough without 150 people a day asking who Ike was.
Yeah, and I've heard you talk about like the haters before, and I think you did this on your podcast, and how the haters you come across, usually those types of people are not as maybe as successful as you are, and um, I guess across 6 states you have, right? 6 states you have six, or what is it?
Seven states.
7 states. So 7 states and counting. So I'd imagine there's a fair share of noise that comes with that naturally, with having that, like having your face on there, and there's people that are critical of that, and oh, look at this guy, he's got his face on his company. How much of that do you hear? And I guess even going back to the Yelp thing, do you take a lot of time in looking at reviews on how you could do better with your company, or do you just feel like a lot of the people on there are just kind of trying to cause mischief and it's a waste of time? So I guess that's kind of a two-parter. First, how do you handle that criticism with, people,
Well, I'll start with the reviews first, because that's pretty simple. I used to be the one that would respond to all the reviews, and I was really good at talk and say, "Hey, sorry, we messed up," whatever it was. Then often there was a real thing. Like if I gave them a number 24 instead of a 25, I'm like, "Oh my God, I owe you like 10 sandwiches for that, because that's messed up." And then sometimes there were reviews for a minute. I was working 7 days a week, and I was like, you know what? I want to just chill on the weekend. So I'm just going to do reservations only. I'm only going to sell 100 sandwiches. I'm going to chill, relax, invite my girlfriend to come and eat with me, like stuff like that. And so I did. You needed to make an appointment to get a sandwich, kind of like, and people they flipped out so hard on that. "This is not French Laundry. This is not, you think you're Gordon," like all these things. They would just go off on me, like real chefs in San Francisco, famous chefs. Like if I name drop them right now, you'd be like, "Man, that chef's an a-hole." And they would be like, "Ike, they just badmouth." This is when I had the one Ikes. And so I would get stuff like that, and then I'd be really offended. And like I took that personally. What do you mean? Yeah, I don't think I'm French Laundry, but why should I, just because my sandwiches are $8, that I should kiss your ass for $8? Essentially, it's like, no. If anything, go bleep yourself, because you're only giving me $8. It's not like you're paying 800 or whatever. Like for $800, you can say whatever you want about me back then, for sure. like when I wasn't making any money, but for $8, come on, man. Like I'm not even gonna be able to put I'm not even gonna be able to buy like a Slurpee at 7-Eleven after taxes and costs and everything with that money. So yeah, go bleep yourself. And then I had the chefs, like real chefs. Like I said, if I said their names, you probably eaten at their restaurants. And I remember I was like, okay, all right. And it wasn't just one; it was like 6, 7 of like
And why do they
famous Bay
care?
Area. We
Because
got
it's not even their business. So why do they care?
um, what do you call that? Well, my hypothesis is this: they're getting all the accolades, but my face was the one on Yelp, and
Mm.
they're thinking, well, and I'm not going to say any of their names because, mainly because they know who they are, and if you put all of them put together, I have more restaurants than all of them put together. So in the end, me and my chef now,
Yeah, what
they'd be
happened?
like, "Oh, you're chef," or they'd come up to me and say, "Yeah, you got to make reservations for my place too." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know. Why are they?" It was kind of, I wasn't allowed in the fraternity there of that, so I had a lot of criticism from the beginning, just because I was selling sandwiches, a lower tier, lower class, lower whatever uh, food item. And then obviously when the economy went the way that it did in 2010, 12, 11, 12, and then again during COVID, why did every single one of them pivot to a QSR like burger or sandwich place? It's because that's where the money's at. And that's where the love is at. Like that's where that's what people eat. So, and that's probably why their sandwich shops and their burger shops don't do that well, is because they didn't do it for the love of the game. They did it for the money. Again, this is where the love comes into the thing. I love sandwiches. I'm gonna make sandwiches forever, which is why we're able to dominate, even though there was 3,000 in San Francisco the day we opened. Now, how do I handle criticism? Two or three different ways. One, I was like, all right, I'm gonna show these chefs. And in fact, if they didn't talk shit, are we allowed to swear? If they didn't
Absolutely.
talk,
I encourage it.
they didn't talk shit, then I maybe not wouldn't be as successful as I am. Because part of it was, all right, guy that has a line out the door. It's not Guy Fieri. I love Guy Fieri. Just because I said Guy, love Guy. He eats at Ikes. Love it. Love him. He gets a pastrami every time. And like I was the I'm gonna get you. Like that's one way to motivate me. When I played sports, if my coach was like, "Oh, I don't think you can do it. Oh, I don't think you can do 20 more push-ups. You look pretty tired." I'd go do it, or get like died almost doing it. And so that's how one way I deal with criticism. Say from its criticism from peers or whatever competitors. And then, but as far as when somebody says, "Oh, you're not French Laundry, why are you and it's just some guy on Yelp leaving a review," man, I will clap back pretty hard. I was like, "Oh yeah, you're that funny looking dude that came in and I said I'd make you a sandwich." And then even though I said I'd make you a sandwich, you wanted to, in your high squealing voice, say, "Oh, you're not French Laundry." Ah! Then you walked away, even though I literally was like, "I'll buy you a sandwich." I don't know why you're a big crybaby, but yeah, sure, you can give me 1 star. But you know what? If I see you again, I'll still make you a sandwich, because obviously you're a whiny baby and I hurt your feelings. Like I left comments like that to those. These days, I'm like, hey, stay blessed, live a good life. Because the haters, you can't have a hater. For every hater, there's going to be as many lovers to the exact extent. Like I believe it's always balanced. It's always going to be even. And then I'd rather just be like, all right. I mean, I literally rather have a BS hater that leaves me a review like the one about that anything, basically, than have people in my own life that I care about and know be a part of like have those feelings towards me. So
Yeah, no, it makes total sense. And all right, I want to go back to kind of like little Ike, like childhood Ike. Tell me a little bit about your first experiences around the food industry. I know that you kind of developed into this big hospitality guy, but kind of food in particular. What experiences did you have that kind of really made you fall in love with this type of industry?
I've been eating since, like, my mom, like I've been eating a lot of food. Like I would consider myself a foodie like 4, 5, 6 years old. My mom would take me to McDonald's and I'd want to get a Big Mac. Not I would want the Happy Meal. I'd get a Big Mac and I'd eat it and like, oh man, I want another one. And my mom was like, what? You want to say you don't need a second Big Mac? And I will do chores, I'll do whatever, give me a second Big Mac kind of thing. So I've been munching on food and lots of it since, like I said, 4, 5, 6 years old. When my like at home, when we were being at home and my mom would cook, I'd eat food, and then I'm the person that would eat like 5 meals a day as a kid growing up. And my mom kind of just got fed up. Was like, all right, here's the refrigerator. Here's how to use a microwave. Here's where the plates are. Here's everything. If you want to make your own plate of food anytime you want, go to the refrigerator and do this. And I was a real, like, maybe it's exactly like the Earl of Sandwich did. He was too busy playing cards, so he just wanted his food, his meat put in between bread so he can eat and still play cards. Man, I was a big video gamer, playing Super Mario Brothers back then, and Zelda and all that. So I'd want to eat, but I'd still want to play. So I didn't want to like shovel in between. So I started turning literally my mom's like lamb and rice dish or noodles dish, and I just toast bread, put some mayonnaise or some sauce, and then put the literally like noodles or rice or lamb in the sandwich and eat it in between playing Mario or Zelda or Metroid or whatever it was I was playing at the time. And so I became like a sandwich maker. Like I remember making my first sandwich at like age 5. My favorite sandwich back then was mayonnaise and peanut butter. And I would eat that at home until one day kids at school were like, mayonnaise and peanut butter. I was like 5 or 6, and they made fun of me for, I mean, it sounds weird, right? Like mayonnaise and peanut butter. And I remember I was like, oh, well, so I stopped making that sandwich, but I love that sandwich. And ironically, now if I came out with a mayonnaise and peanut butter sandwich, people will probably be like, well, that's crazy, but Ike made it, so let's try it. The exact opposite of then. So I've been cooking or making sandwiches, microwaving food, and turning them into sandwiches, like whatever is in the fridge. Crazy sandwiches like in Scooby Doo, where they're just piling it up, or a Dagwood sandwich or something, since I was 5. So that's where I got my passion for sandwiches specifically. But I've been a foodie since my first Big Mac bite.
Yeah, and with sandwiches, you could kind of just, whatever's available that you have, you could kind of just make a sandwich out of it. I think that's the cool thing about doing that. And I always notice that you travel to like other restaurants a lot when you're, whether you're eating at McDonald's, whether you're eating at Taco Bell. I've seen Taco Bell recently on your feeds. Are you there for like inspiration, or am I just looking too much into it? Are you there to like have a good meal too? Like, do you get inspired by some of these other places that you go often?
One of the things in my journey towards being better at my craft, but even just like a better human being too, is I noticed that who are the people, things that I want to be like. They're like, if I made a magic, like a list of goals, made a list of goals, and I want my business to be as, say, iconic as McDonald's is, and as large as McDonald's is, and with the sandwich, the Big Mac, like that's probably the most famous sandwich of all time. And yeah, I think that a burger is a sandwich, but whatever. It's arguable that it's not, but that's not what this is about. It's like the most iconic thing. And then I look at, you brought up Taco Bell too, and Taco Bell, they come up with so much innovation. And now they're doing the Cheeto thing, which I think is not Cheeto, Cheez-It thing. That's definitely overrated. But like most of the time that they make something, like I remember my first chalupa, I remember my first Mexican pizza. They're the kings of innovation, coming up with a brand new item and then selling like millions of them, and them being good. Like they're gonna sell millions of these Cheez-Its things. I think it's a miss on that one, but it's a rare miss for them. And so, like in the instance of Taco Bell, no, I actually like Taco Bell, and if they come out with a new item, I respect them enough. I want to be them, like innovation wise. I want people to be like, oh, Taco Bell's the Ikes of fast food or something. Like I want that to happen, where people are saying that. So it's more out of respect that I go to these places. I do like them. I mean, I don't. Probably every time I've eaten at Taco Bell or McDonald's in the last 5 years, you've seen it on the internet. Like I don't go and eat there more than a couple times, like twice a year or something. And McDonald's, I kind of don't eat there anymore. As the last couple times, I was like, it's kind of fallen off. But shout out Grandma McFlurry. That was one of the best things I've had in a while at a fast food restaurant. And but it's like respect. I'm not gonna be a hater. Like I tried to go when I first started becoming famous, and I was putting together best sandwiches in America show like that. I was just gonna do myself and produce myself. I was like, all right, first episode, I went to Subway, and I was like, I got to go to Subway. Nobody sells more sandwiches than Subway. So I'm going to go to Subway, and most people won't go to Subway because they're going to say it's low class, whatever they're going to say about it. I mean, I don't like Subway, so I'm not here defending Subway at all. So I don't think that's what I'm doing. But I know most places, most reviewers are not going to go to Subway because it's too like low class for them. And I go there and I'm like, you know what? I'm not a hater. I'm gonna go to Subway. It's my first episode of my TV show, and I'm gonna go there because I'm not a hater, and two, nobody sells more sandwiches than them. So out of respect, I'm gonna go bow to them, and hopefully one day I pass them, but I'm not there yet. And so I go there. I like it, and I tried to like it, and I couldn't. I remember I loved it when I was 10 and 11 and 12. I'd get the tuna or their breakfast sandwiches. I remember I loved it, and I was eating the sandwich, and I could not like I wanted to not hate it and I couldn't. So I was like, I can't use this footage because even though yes, Subway sucks and you'll never hear me say otherwise, I'm not going to do a TV show saying, yeah, so I went to Subway and it sucked. Like I'm not a hater like that. Although I know I just said it right now, but I'm not going to do an episode like of my TV show where I'm like, I went into Subway and hey, newsflash, still sucks. But I went there anyway because out of respect. And so that's why I go with Taco Bell. I've definitely, or I think Jack in the Box, since we're on fast food, Jack in the Box is my favorite fast food spot. And I've definitely gone to Jack in the Box and taken items from Jack in the Box and made them into sandwiches at Ikes. So I would say less so for inspiration and more so for, all right, props. Let me see what you guys are doing. And it's fast food's my guilty pleasure for sure.
Yeah, makes total sense. And Subway's the type of the place where like, yeah, it's good as a kid, and then once you have like other sandwiches and you get exposed to like other sandwiches, it's like extremely hard to go back. It's like
yeah, and I was Quiznos guy up in the city. I would go to Quiznos, and I know they kind of messed up their business model. But yeah, once I discovered what Quiznos was, like Subway never got another dollar from me until I went in that day to shoot my TV show like 12 years later, and they're not going to get another dollar from me again. So yeah, I feel you on that.
yeah, even Togo's in the Bay Area is pretty big down here too. And
Yeah.
All right. So since this is kind of a sports podcast, I do have like a few sports stuff. A lot of like the backbone of like your menu is based off of the namesake of, the different athletes that you have sandwiches named after. And um everyone has like their stories and their tales about how they became sports fans. What is yours? Did you have any like favorite teams, favorite players growing up? How did you like, what was that experience like for you growing up and as a sports fan? And then kind of combining it with, the business model in a way.
Well, I'm blessed that I grew up in San Francisco, born and raised. And so the 49ers, I'm born in 78. So the 49ers have been good like my whole childhood, right? They won their last one 94, and I was still in high school then. And then they won all the other ones like in my they won all their Super Bowls in my lifetime and while I was young and impressionable. When my first sporting game in person was in 1988, and luckily it didn't go this way, but it was an A's versus White Sox game. And in 1988, that A's team goes to the World Series, and who was on the White Sox? Was it? No, it wasn't. It was too early for them. But Canseco hits a home run. McGuire hits a home run. But I was like, I'm a San Francisco guy, so like while I was rooting for Oakland for sure that day, I didn't become an A's fan. Although it would have been really easy for my first baseball game, 1988 in Oakland, and McGuire and Canseco homer in that game, and crowds going wild, and that was a great team. So I started paying attention to baseball, but if anything, that pushed me to be a Giants fan. So I was like, all right, they're Oakland. No, if they were maybe like the Golden State A's or something, maybe I would have got behind them, like the Warriors were. And so I started paying attention to baseball, but I was paying attention to the Giants, and they didn't have a good year in '88. So, but this was towards the end of the year. Next year starts since '89, and that was a magical Giants and A's team. And so, because it was the Giants and the A's, I was like not going to root for the A's over the Giants because literally just because it said San Francisco. and it said Oakland. And I'm from San Francisco, born and raised. So why would I root for Oakland over San Francisco? That's not going to happen. So I think in that way, even though I started my first games as A's, I had to go Giants, coincidentally, because they were just playing the A's, and I'm not going to choose Oakland over San Francisco from a fandom standpoint. I love Oakland. That's, in fact, our longest running Ikes right now is the one in Oakland. I love Oakland, and they've been great to me. It just, from a sporting, when I was 12, no, I was going to choose the Giants. And so that was a magical year for both those teams. And then the earthquake. So, I mean, I kind of fanboyed. Last week I was at the Guardsman event and Will Clark was there. He was my guy he was my favorite player growing up. Then when the Giants got Barry Bonds, I was like, oh man, what am I going to do? And then when Will Clark left, I wish they kept him, but when Will Clark left, I was like, all right, I'm a Barry Bonds guy now. But Will Clark was my guy. And so that kind of cemented me as a Giants fan. And then my first year paying attention, like really paying attention, both the Bay Area teams going to the World Series. So that helped me stay into that. And then obviously the Niners were winning Super Bowls those years at Joe Montana. And then I remember going to games at Candlestick, like freezing, raining against lowly like Saints and whatever. And I'm like wet and it's cold and bringing blankets to the stadium and just like having these weird seats where you couldn't see anything, like all on the sides. And it was just, for me, it was a way to be proud of being from San Francisco, is having the team so good. I'm not that guy now that's like, we did this and like gonna go beat up people over the teams. In fact, somebody tried to do, some Dodgers fan was all up on me about something. I was at downtown LA location 2 days ago, and I'm like, and normally like the old Ike would have been like, yeah, let me show you my wallet, or let me, like, because he's calling me loser and all these other things. And I was like, you know what? I remember, and even though he was not a kid, I was like, I remember when I was 12 and I felt this way. So I'm just going to pretend he's 12 years old. And why would I fight a 12-year-old over a baseball team? And so, yeah, I was that guy when I was 12 and 13 and 18, like, oh, yeah, you suck because you like the Mavericks or whatever. And I still get passionate about it. It still gives me inspiration. I've been to the last few Super Bowls that the Niners are. Maybe that's why they've been losing. I've only been to 3 Super Bowls that they've lost.
Yeah, it can't be you. There's other reasons. It's definitely not
Yeah.
you. Um, but and like it's probably cool, like hearing that. Like it's probably cool when you get a chance to connect with those guys that you used to watch as a kid, and when they walk in and boom, they're on the menu all of a sudden. Who is like that one athlete that you've gotten a chance to work with Ike sandwiches that maybe has a sandwich, or just anybody that you've been able to connect with in this journey that has been a fun company, like pleasant to be around, somebody maybe that was better than you expected. I don't want to say worse than you expected, but maybe you could name that too. But who are those people that kind of stick out?
Well, I've only almost gotten into a fight with one Bay Area legend Hall of Famer. So I'm not going to say his name.
Yes. Okay.
Even though we're even, I'm going to say we're even. People that were, he's won a few Super Bowls, and I was like, you know what? You won a few Super Bowls. I'm gonna call us even, but everybody else wants me to fight. And we did almost get in a fight, like throwing hands, even though he's like twice my size.
Did you also act like he was 12?
Oh man, people are funny. Anyways, so but the people, so for when I first started, I'll give you a few stories, like one, like who I was the most starstruck from meeting, and then who are some great guys that I met. I mean, just today, like I was with Jeff Garcia today designing a sandwich. Yesterday, Mitch Richmond. I have had a Mitch Richmond jersey growing up. Like I'm an old school like Warriors fan from when, I mean, they were good when Mitch and Hardaway and those guys and Chris Mullin were there. But like they were, they didn't win anything for my whole entire life up until, when they won. And I mean, Mitch was great. Jeff Garcia is great. The first time I would say that I really got starstruck was I was at an event. I got invited by, it was a Donald Foyle's a charity event that he was throwing, and Festus Ezeli, who's one of my favorite guys. I met him through sandwiches. I meet most of my athlete friends through sandwiches. And we got invited, or he got invited, and I was his plus one or whatever. So we go in there, we get in there really late. Like they're already, Donald's already up there on the stage, like talking about presenting the checks and things like that. So we're running in and we're like ducking down in the back, and Festus is ducking down, and I'm ducking down, and I start thinking, why am I ducking down? He's like 7 foot tall. Nobody's gonna see me. They're gonna see him. So we duck down, we sit at a table, and then all the way in the back, and then somebody comes up and taps us on the shoulders and be like, "Oh, somebody requested you to sit over here." So we get all the way. Obviously, it's this. Unfortunately, it's the table right in the front. So now we got to go like up in the front, sit down, and look across. And Barry Bonds extends his hand and shakes my hand. I'm like, "Oh my!" It's like Barry Bonds. And so he shakes my hand and introduced to the other people at the table, and I'm sitting down, I'm eating, and I'm gonna bust Festus out a little bit here. And Festus is like, "Dude, that's Barry Bonds." I'm like, "I know, that's Barry Bonds." So that was like the first time I was, and I had met many baseball players. I'd met Steph Curry by then. I met Jerry Rice by then, and Steve Young, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is Barry Bonds." And so that was like the time I was starstruck. But some cool guys that Matt Cain, he was the first iconic sandwich that recreation was like a key word. So Matt Cain is a great guy. Him and it was his girlfriend at the time, but I know now they're married. They would come in and sit at the tables at Ikes and eat multiple times a month. And then a great guy that I designed a sandwich with, Hunter Pence. He's one of my favorite people. Like him and Festus, those are two people I consider my friends. That we started out as like sandwich collab mates or whatever, and turned into a friendship. Those are some two really cool guys. And throughout the years, we've been able to do a lot of charity events. Andre Reed, with him, Marcus Allen's one of the he's so inspirational. Like it was a little bit before my time, like watching him play because he was on the Raiders, so I wasn't really paying attention. But like from having a heart, and him and Ronnie Lott introduced me to Marcus Allen. Ronnie Lott's one of the guys that if I'm down on anything or need some advice, I could call. Like Ronnie Lott. Those are like my four. I don't want to say just them because I'm probably forgetting a few other guys, but those guys are really great guys. Not just sandwiches at Ike's.
That's really cool. It's really good to hear that a lot of those guys, and the Barry Bonds starstruck, that's pretty cool too. I know a lot of people had the same, whenever they meet the home run king, they have the same reaction. And you know what? Shohei Ohtani could have been one of those guys too.
He could have been. He could have been called. He could have been part of $1 billion. Like I don't. This is where I'm going to talk a little shit. All right, because people keep talking shit about that. Look, I don't care what Shohei makes. I'm going to make way more money than Shohei makes. So he could have had a cut of that. So it's wrong. Whatever he's getting paid from the Dodgers and wherever afterwards, he can make more money at Ikes. And so while it might appear that he made a good choice, he did not. Obviously, he didn't do it for the money because he's getting pennies, I guess, for a while. But for those people like, "Oh, all right, yeah, you're a loser," or whatever, like because Dodgers fans saying that, I'm gonna make way more money than Shohei is, and on top of that, Shohei would have made way more money with me had he taken the deal than the deal that he has with the Dodgers. But I want to go back and defend Barry real quick. Barry is. He talks about his family. He talks about his dog. He is at these charity events, and he's golfing with folks that maybe he would never want to golf with, knuckleheads getting hammered because he's doing it for charity. So, and he's always been nice to me. And you were asking, who's mean? No, other than the one guy that I almost fought, no, people are normally not mean to me because I'm the sandwich guy, and they don't want to literally bite the hand or fight the hand that feeds them. But Barry is a good guy. I'll have his back. Anybody says anything about him, like, no, that's not him. Just because he didn't want to, whatever he did, talk to the media or not talk to the media. No, he's there for charities. It's multiple times I've seen him at charity events, and he doesn't have to do that. He doesn't need to be there. That's his own free time, and he does it. He was at a Donald's thing. He's been at Marcus Allen's thing. He's been at Marcus Allen's thing like every time I've ever been to Marcus Allen's event. I've been there like 6 times. And other people's charity events. He doesn't need to do that. He's a good person. He just, if you talk to him, see him talk about his family and his dog, and anybody that talks about family and animals is like not a jerk. And he's just, you know, I think it's mainly non-Giants fans, and then the media that is saying that there's anything wrong with him. He's a great guy. I
Yeah,
have his back. I'll fight you if you say he's bad. You know, who wants to fight me? Get in line. I got Barry's back.
yeah, exactly. And that's a good rule is never fight the person making your food or never try to piss off the person making your food. That could go sideways in a heartbeat. But yeah, Barry Bonds, like, what more does he need to, like, you know, he's retired. He's admitted that, like, maybe he's not been good to the media, but maybe the media wasn't good to him. So maybe we're only seeing one side of this whole thing. I think we're never gonna know. But I briefly mentioned the Ohtani thing, and for those that don't know, because some people might have been living under a rock the past year. But for those that don't know, Ike did a video calling, you know, on Shohei Ohtani to sign with the Giants, and if he did, he would have had Ikes for life, and also you would have renamed like the name of the company after him. Were you really going to follow through with that?
I mean, yeah, I would have done it. I mean, I think it would have been win-win. I would probably made more money than I would make, and he'd make more money than he would make. So it would be a win-win deal.
Yeah, why not? Why not? And I mean, yeah, I mean it's hard to believe, and he's getting all that deferred money too, and it's not coming yet. I think he's only making what 2 million for the next 10 years. So, um, he passed up on
He
a
definitely makes more than 2 million a year at Ikes, just so everybody knows.
yeah, he passed up on a really good opportunity to have like a just a deal just handed to him. So I guess he got that too, but oh well. Um, before we wrap, I kind of want to talk about a little bit of your background a little bit. I read that you came through obviously the family business in San Francisco, and there was a point there where you were basically homeless, you know, living out of a car, living in the back of your business, other people's businesses. Uh, what was that like, and how does an experience like that shape you as an individual into, you know, I guess where you are now? Because do you ever get a chance to look back at that and, you know, as where you are now and say something like to yourself, God, I'm very proud of myself. Do you ever get that moment of reflection where you could kind of pat yourself on the back and coming back from that?
Well, so a couple of things how that, so you asked a few questions in there. I'll start with often because I'm traveling. I'm in San Diego now, and then I'm going to go to New York. I'm going to go to Phoenix to hang out with some folk, to hang out with some WNBA teams. Then I'm going to go to New York to look at some locations, and then New Orleans to look at locations. And as I'm moving in the hectic life that I have, and then I'm doing exactly what I want to do: feed people, meet people, create memories with people, and cook, and then eat too. I'm getting to I guess, I don't know, I'm able to pause and stop and smell the roses, or whatever you want to call it. And often I'm able to just be like, man, I used to not eat food, and now if I want to get caviar, I can. So it's kind of often that I pause and reflect and go, wow. And sometimes it's different energy. Sometimes it's with a kind of like a sad, I don't want to even call it sad, but kind of like feeling sorry for the old me. And sometimes it's, man, I'm really proud. Or sometimes it's just gratitude in there. But I am able to do that. Well, I was speaking of the celebrity things, I was at Marcus Allen's gala for his celebrity event, and Ronnie Lott sitting next to me, and Ronnie was telling me, he was saying some nice things. And when, like, in the middle of the conversation, I was like, wow, this Ike is, Ronnie Lott is there telling me some nice things about me. And like that Ike back then, if he would have been like, oh my gosh, like Ronnie Lott's gonna be my boy when I'm older and telling me that he's proud of me and like there for me if I need him. Like I have no doubt he's got one of the biggest hearts. And so I comparing myself to say that, or like I'm bringing the past Ike to here to 2024 and going, dude, look at this life. But everybody's been through bad times. Heck, I even still go through bad times sometimes now, and I'm not naive enough to think I'm never going to have any bad times. But the version of us that has been bad or sad or heartbroken or upset or angry, it's still that parts of those things still reside in us if we don't resolve them. And so as often as I can, and be mindful of it, I'm like, oh, well, let me be appreciative. Like right now, I'm in my favorite hotel in Gaslamp, San Diego. And when I was coming in and checking in, I was in a hurry because I was late for this. I'm like kind of stressed out. I'm like, dude, look, you're in your favorite hotel and you would never be able to have afforded this back then. You're worried that you're a little bit late. And yeah, apologies to that. But it's like, if that's your biggest problem, dude, like even today I was able to reflect on that. And then part of it, and back when I was not eating and food insecure and homeless, but like sleeping in people's things. So I don't like, I wasn't, I'm like, yes, it was a terrible experience, but I wasn't like on the street in San Francisco. And then I ended up moving to Hawaii so I can be homeless in Hawaii. Because I figured, why not be homeless in Hawaii instead of homeless in San Francisco where it's cold? And a lot of that experience, the parts that helped me then and useful now, say to anybody listening, is I remember one night I was going to bed in the back of my buddy's van, and I had this felt coat, or yeah, it's like fur but fake fur coat as my blanket. Sometimes use it as pillow if it was hot, and a blanket if it was cold. And like I remember talking about like having conversation with myself because I was hungry and I was thinking I was a loser and that I was never going to get out of this. And like, what happened to my life? And I was, how old was I? 26 at the time. And a conversation I had with myself changed my whole life on this whole thing. And I said, hey, do you remember when you broke your arm when you were 6? And I was like, yeah, I remember I broke my arm. Did it hurt? And I was like, yeah, of course it hurt. And there's all this conversation in my head. It did, of course it hurt. And then I asked myself, does it hurt now? And I remember like looking at my arm, like, no, I mean, I broke this arm and it's a little like bone sticks out a little bit. But it happened when I stick, and it definitely doesn't hurt now. Like even I could do whatever, I could throw a football. It doesn't hurt now. And then it's like, oh, do you remember this girl? I'm like, yeah. Remember when you broke up? Yeah. Did it hurt? Yes. It doesn't hurt now. Coincidentally, she texted me the other day some photos of us from back then. I was like, I was like 18 or something in the pics. I was like, well, I mean, to an extent, I mean, yeah, as much as we let past relationships go, no, it doesn't hurt. Like I'm not sad and crying and can't get out of bed over it. And then it like I just started going through different times in my life where I was in pain and asking myself, does it hurt now? And so the lesson that I learned that day, but like deeply learned, and what got me out of it was, hey, even if it hurts right now, pain has never been forever. Heartbreak has never been forever. Feeling like I was a loser is never going to be forever. And that night, I remember going to bed, even though I was crying and I was hungry, that, today wasn't the day, but tomorrow is going to be. How do I know? Because my arm doesn't hurt anymore when it was broken. My heart doesn't hurt anymore when I was broken from that girl, and all these things. So I know no matter what, all I have to do is wake up in the morning, and one day I'm going to wake up and it's going to be okay. But I truly believe that. I had no evidence other than my past experience, which we all have, of that. And so, and from there, I was 26, and I didn't end up opening Ikes for like 3 years after that. But that helped me get through every single tough time, basically since that day. Anytime I'm upset at something or something doesn't go my way, I'm like, all right, well, tomorrow will be better. Maybe not be tomorrow. It might be in a week. It might be in a month, but it's going to be better. How do I know? We all have evidence that it's going to be better one day. So you just need to let time, and that's the beauty of time, is it's just going to be tomorrow, whether we like it or not. It's going to be tomorrow, whether I'm crying in bed or starving because I'm homeless. It's going to be tomorrow, no matter what. And enough tomorrows and things pass. So then when I went to go open up Ikes in 2007, and I also had a similar like bad day where I was like, oh, that's it. I'm a loser. I'm never, even though I was in the process of opening up Ikes, it's like, I'm a loser. It's never going to happen. And I was like so down, like 3 days of that. And I was like, you know what? I got to go for it. what's the worst that can happen? I can end up homeless. I can end up with no food. I can end up thinking I'm a loser. Like, I already know how all that feels. And even if that happens, I know I'm going to get over that too. So in a way, I wasn't fearful of going for what I would like. And maybe if you don't have that like rock bottom moment that doesn't make you fearful or not fearful to go for what we would like, just know that no, whatever the worst case scenario that's going to happen, you can be on the street, no food, thinking you're a loser, hating your own life, nobody in your life, like all your friends, you pissed off all your friends, pissed off your lover, your spouse, you whatever, and all that, have no money in your bank account and have everybody like, you owe me money and all that. And guess what? Tomorrow it's not going to be like that. Just string together enough tomorrows. And so I went for Ikes, and that was 2007, October 31st. I didn't sell anything that day. And here I am 17 years later. I've opened 120 something locations. Some have closed, some have opened, some have moved. And so that's like the two main lessons that I learned from that time in my life that I still use today, and that anybody can use today based on your own life and your own bad things, your own pain that has happened to you.
Yeah, no, I think that's very powerful, and I think a lot of people are going to be really happy they just heard that. And few more things before we wrap. Did you know any?
I've got, just so you know.
Okay, good to know. Uh, did you know anything about the Billie Eilish picture before it dropped? That Billie Eilish was going to have Ikes in one of her pictures on Instagram.
So I know that she eats at Ike's, and I have a weird Billie Eilish story that uh, I'm not going to tell. Actually, I love Billie. She's my freaking girl, and I knew that she ate at Ike's. I was not expecting for her to drop it in her music video. But if anybody was ever gonna drop a music video with Ike's in it, it should be about wanting to devour a woman. Like, I mean, that's the most fitting use of an Ike sandwich I could ever think of. But I know Billy's been in, and her brother Phineas has been in a bunch of times, so we already knew she was a fan, and they were fans. I was not expecting it to be in the video.
Yeah, no, it was definitely there. And I know the Oakland Ballers, there's a new independent team in Oakland. They posted a picture of themselves in the locker room after their first game in Oakland, and there was just a big bag of Ikes just there on the table. So the Oakland Ballers are being fed too, just so you know. I don't know if you saw that picture. Um, how many times a week do you eat there? Like, how many times a week do you can consume Ikes?
So to this week, what been it's what 2 3 days. I've eaten at Ike's every single day this week so far. If I'm buying Ike's, I eat at Ike's. So many times I'll be, because I go into the stores often. I'll be at Ike's. I'm like, all right, I wonder what's a good restaurant nearby, because I'm not in a few places. Like if I'm in Vegas, even when I'm in Vegas, I like tell my friends, hey, meet me at Ike's for lunch, and then I'll just eat somewhere else for dinner. Even in a place like Vegas, I love our sandwiches. Often I'll eat a sandwich. Like yesterday, I was eating a sandwich and I took a bite. I'm like, damn, no wonder why people love this place. Like I surprise myself with the sandwiches sometimes, where I'm eating a sandwich. I'm, damn, man, these are good. So I'm probably Ike's number one customer.
Yeah.
I eat probably, no joke, like 200 something sandwiches from Ike's, or 200 days at Ike's. Some days I'll eat multiple sandwiches because they're good. And often, unfortunately for me, or maybe fortunately, when I'm in a place and I'm like, what's good to eat around here? I'm like, shit, Ike's is the best place. So there's no reason for me to go eat at somewhere else anyway. And I'm
Yeah,
blessed in that way too.
the very objective journalist in me is always like, so I was in La Jolla for a journalism conference in March, and I looked at, I just looked it up, Ike's, just curious, and there's one in La Jolla. So
Yeah.
that came in clutch. And I took a picture with the cardboard cutout and everything, and that's when I said Ike's got to come on the podcast, and here he is. So and I know that we talked a little bit about this, but you're debuting some donuts. I know that that's something new for Ike's and the company. What is behind the idea of bringing in donuts? Was it something that you've kind of thought about for a while? Why now for donuts? And I guess why donuts?
Yeah. Well, so why donuts? Because they're delicious. I love dessert. And I mean, it's a donut. Like, I think it just like that's the reason why they're delicious. One of the things that I noticed about myself, so when we were just in California and when we were just in the Bay Area, we got an opportunity because we were at Stanford as as our second location, and so we had a lot of the Pac-12 RIP, a lot of the Pac-12 athletes when they'd come to Stanford to play, they'd be like, "We need to eat at Ikes." There's only two Ikes. There's one in San Francisco, one in Stanford. So the athletes, it didn't matter from water polo team to women's basketball team. It didn't matter. They're in town to play. They're playing at Stanford, and they're we just get athletes galore. Maybe not just athletes. Like anytime there was people from outside of Stanford coming to campus, they like where to eat. We were the number one restaurant on Stanford, probably in the history of Stanford. To this day, we're still the best restaurant that's ever been there. And so we get a lot of folks. And so we had the opportunity at ASU to go in there. I assumed that they had it when they were on campus at Stanford. And we went to go take a look at the location. And then I thought, well, okay, well, why wouldn't we do it? Because it's hard to open up in another state, or because we make up that there's these things. And so I thought to myself, if it's going to be like, if the only reason not to do it is going to be difficult, that's not a reason to say no. So we said yes, just because of that. And I say that because when it came to the donuts, I wanted to make a dessert. I was like, I want to find a dessert partner and have them provide the dessert, whatever it was. I thought donuts, I thought cookies, I thought cake, I thought pie, like what could go. And then I really couldn't find a partner that could do it. There's a lot of local partners that we like. If I went to every place and like, who's the best person that makes donuts in each market, we could just brought donuts from everywhere. But then I thought, well, one, not everybody, I think people overrate donuts. I've been researching this donut thing for over a year, and a lot of the places that the must eat donut spots suck. And I don't want to put any of them on blast because there are people like, you need to eat at this place. Like they're famous and they have multiple locations and they're overrated. And so I thought to myself, and one, they probably wouldn't even work with me anyway, not because that they think they're better than me, but like they're busy doing their own thing. How are they going to be like Krispy Kreme? Like they don't want to get on that level where they're everywhere. And so I thought, well, I'm just going to learn how to make my own donuts. And I was like, I don't know, that might be hard. I go, oh, remember what we said. If only it's going to be hard, that's not a reason not to do it. Don't do it because I don't want to do it, but don't not do it because it's going to be too hard to learn. So I put in a little bit more research to see if I could do it. And I'm like, oh yeah, I could totally do that. And then I can create exactly the donuts that I want instead of some black pepper and glaze, whatever. Like, I'm not down with those places. I don't like I'm not down. I don't want to say anymore because then people start knowing what places I'm talking about. Like, I think those are good ideas, but I wouldn't want to eat a menage a trois and then a black pepper glazed donut that's like $6 afterwards. So like, I want to make some things that are like between $2 and $5, like $5 for like a super cool jumbo one, but for a glazed donut, like $2 to $3. Something simple. And so I was like, I'm just going to go do it myself. And I worked with somebody that had worked before. She helped me with some other things. We came up with some recipes for donuts. And here we are. Ironically, coincidentally, whatever you want to call it, on my birthday, I announced I'm opening the donut shop. And the same day, McDonald's said, hey, we're going to bring Krispy Kreme to every single McDonald's by like 2020. And I'm like, look, geniuses think alike. If McDonald's, and that's kind of, not that I need validation from the outside, but if anybody, like I had people that like, Ike, why are you doing donuts? Why are you doing the donuts? Literally the moment McDonald's and I launched on the same day or made the announcement on the same day, everybody that's like, why are you doing donuts? Is like, damn, Ike, you're a genius. How'd you know? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I know genius when it comes to food. Like, you don't have to tell me. McDonald's probably saw my Instagram feed and copied me. That's probably where McDonald's got the idea from.
Yeah, that's probably what happened. And where is this donut, for people wondering, like, where is this donut shop going to be? Are the donuts available now at any Ike's location? Tell us a little bit about where they might be.
So right now there's only one Ike's Donuts open. It's in Chico, California, on the corner of 5th and Ivy, right on the corner. If you're in Chico, you like know where 5th and Ivy is. It's the only Ike's Donuts. I'm like an open free agent. I want to open between, I don't know, 2 and 4 more. I want to do it. I want to roll it out a little differently. I want to make them more of a destination site. So while I eventually will have 100 of them, my plan to have 100 of them will be in like 10 years rather than say 5 years. So I'd love something in Vegas, like a iconic location in Vegas. I'd love something in the Bay, specifically San Francisco, but if it's outside of San Francisco, I'm okay with that. I'd love something in LA, Hollywood area, and San Diego, and then maybe even like Scottsdale, Phoenix area. But I want to do 5 key locations and have like donuts so good. Like I remember traveling for Krispy Kreme when they just had the one in Daly City, and I'd go there for it. Like I want Ike's Donuts to be that, like the new generation of that. And then in like say in 5 years, want to have 5 locations in 5 years, and then ramp it up to 100 locations like the next 5 years after that. So I want people to flock to it. And I also think that there's that even in a place like LA that has a lot of good donut shops, or San Francisco, there's some good ones in San Francisco that I like to eat at, that there's just a need for an elite level donut. And in most markets, even if you think like, oh, I like Bob's Donuts in San Francisco. Yeah, but there's not like, people don't go to that because it's in the Tenderloin, or if they do, it's at like 2 a.m. So San Francisco could use another elite donut shop. And I don't want to dump on any other donut shops. I'm not dumping in your donut shop if you're in San Francisco. I'm just saying, like my guy Shock G, oh man, R.I.P. Like my guy Shock G would say, hey, all the sandwich shops or the donut shops in the top 10, please allow me to bump thee.
That's a great quote. And there's also a Ike sandwiches. I mean, I don't. How excited are you about the one opening near the ballpark? Because I think that just
I'm
seems like
gonna
such a
live
great location.
That's gonna be like my new home base. It's like, you want to meet Ike, just go to that one. I'm
Yeah,
so excited. I love the
that one's
Giants
awesome.
with Larry Bear against the Yankees. Oh man, freaking Aaron Judge, man. Anyway, Aaron Judge hit 2 home runs that game, and I was watching the game with Larry, and I've been so excited to be working. The Giants have been a great partner with us since we had one Ikes. The team, Sarah Hunt, she got married recently. I'm not sure of her new last name, but Sarah is the one who got us our first official collab. We did it with Tim Lincecum when he won his first Cy Young in it was 2008. And well, I've been working with the Giants literally since 2008. So this is and it's going to be like the official 100th location celebration. And like the Giants have been a key part of Ikes. And so it's fitting that our 100th location, new flagship, is going to be in conjunction with the Giants.
I mean, there will be nothing that will stop me from being there. I'm telling you right now, there's nothing that I could put on the schedule that will be more important than the Ike's grand opening down there.
Yeah,
So,
it's going to be July 17. The Giants will be out of town, so you'll be able to make it, and it won't be as crowded down there. Unfortunately, because I was like, that's the perfect spot to launch the next Ike's Donuts. Unfortunately, they're not able to fry things in there, so we won't be able to do. That would have been best place for the first Ike's Donuts in the Bay Area. But unfortunately, that's not the way. Maybe Larry, if you're listening to this, find me another small location in the same center. I'll throw some donuts in there. We just need like 400 square feet, nothing big. Just fry up some donuts, and I got you.
they can't they can't fry stuff in there. What does
In
that
that
mean?
we're not allowed to fry. I don't know what it is whatever's going on in there, but there's not like a grease trap, something. I just was told you can't deep fry anything here, and I'm not going to bake a donut. So
That's the craziest thing. A building where you can't fry anything in there.
it's just
Okay.
definitely because there's like another place that's serving French fries like a little bit away from us. So you could definitely deep fry stuff, just not in our space.
Yeah, I see. I see. Ike, I mean, this is awesome. I really appreciate you coming on, and no worries. I mean, we could have gone on for a long time, and I'm glad that we were able to get this on the schedule and you were able to come on, and it was a total blast. The best of luck to you. I know you don't need my luck or my best of luck to you, but you're doing a great job, and keep up the good work. And I think the sandwiches, I mean, they're just amazing. And I know I'm going to keep getting them. And I know a lot of people, I turned a lot of people onto Ikes. So a lot of people from
Thank you.
SF State. So I appreciate you coming on the show. It was a blast.
I appreciate you. And anytime you feel like it's relevant in the future, I got you. Just let me know. Shoot me a DM, hit me up, and I'll see you. Let's connect and have a sandwich together soon.
Absolutely. Sounds good. I'll try to make it down. Again, there's very few things important than that grand opening. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah,
And
my 16th. If this comes out before then everybody knows I will be there the 16th and the 17th. I'll probably be giving away a whole lot of free stuff to celebrate 100 locations. And also, it's my low key like FU to the politicians that were there in 2010 when I got shut down.
yeah, that's a good revenge tour there. And people could find you. You have a podcast, right? You're doing a good job with your stuff. Do you want to plug yourself a little bit?
I do. A lot of folks ask me for some advice, and I would say the first bit of advice is you don't need any advice, not from me, not from anything. If you want to have your brain come up with some new ideas and you want some stuff to spark it, you can find me on YouTube. My YouTube channel is because some reason somebody had Ike Shehadeh. I don't know. So I couldn't even get Ike Shehadeh, but it's vote and then four, the number four, Ike Shehadeh. And I'm sure you'll have how it's spelled. Vote for Ike Shehadeh. Plus, it's priming for maybe one day I'll run for something. So vote for Ike Shehadeh on YouTube. I have 300 or so videos. You can watch the shorts, you can watch the full episodes like that. And then if you want to follow my adventures, you can follow them on Instagram or actually on any social media, but Instagram specifically. You'll see all the collabs before they happen. Like I posted Jeff Garcia today and Mitch Richmond and a few other folks before they happen. And I'm at Ike Shehadeh on every single thing except for YouTube, which I'm vote for Ike Shehadeh. So at Ike Shehadeh on Instagram, you can find me there. And I mean, my DMs are usually open. And I say hi and whatever. And if you talk shit, I'll either not respond or I'll say something funny back to you.
Yeah, MySpace Ikes might come back, so just a warning.
Exactly. I still, I still logged in and it still works. So if it ever makes a comeback, I'm there with my like 8,000 followers or whatever, friends, 8,000 friends,
Yeah, the
whatever they
friends.
call them. Yeah.
There you go. And Tom will be right there with you. Um, everybody could go ahead and follow the podcast. And by the way, I'll put all those plugs in the descriptions. Everybody could go ahead and follow the podcast on Twitter and Instagram at RizzoCast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you find your podcasts. There will be a lot more to come. Thank you everybody for listening. Leave a review, do all that fun stuff, and see you next time.